of us can really do Baron at 20, 21, 22 minutes. They should just be sitting back, content with scaling up even more, dragging the game out another 10 minutes, and then letting Camille and Akali just run amok all over.
And
Griffin.
10 minutes is for like the standard play, but with all the TPs they have, with item completions like the Miramana to join the Trinity Force, you can also outnumber and use your core item completions to fight soon as well. So it feels like SKT have a lot of options. You never want to drop your mid lane tower, but like LS is saying, you take it at 20 minutes. We're not talking about an 11-minute crack of the mid lane tower by any means.
Yeah, and SKT did go along those lines, right? They had the Ezreal mid lane. Viper was winning the 2v2 basically alone, just poking under the turret and said, we're going to take this, and SKT said, okay. And we're just going to sit back and farm, and we don't really want to fight you. We are very happy with a 1-0 score line here at 20 minutes into the game, and they're just sitting back like old SKT, looking to scale as much as possible.
And you think of the one team that has actually made SKT bleed in postseason LCK, and that was Afrika. Took a win there. And when we talk about them, we talk about how they love to gamble. They have a lot of mechanics. They try and make too many aggressive plays, and, you know, at the end of the day, usually pay for it. What I'm struck by with SKT is which of the losses or trades of objectives they've taken this series haven't been things they were kind of in full control over whether they lost it or not. They've very much been losing the minimum when they need to, but gaining the maximum in areas where maybe the scaling or the game state didn't necessarily suit them. So we're looking to Griffin to actually get more, and so far we've been left wanting.
Well, speaking of left wanting, Clid.
We could see it here, though. Gonna charge down the lane, and they are absolutely looking for this one. Cannon Barrage comes in. Gonna miss on that one, but the Hextech Ultimatum comes in. The 2v1. Where's the damage? Finally it comes out, as it takes a while. But either way, they do end up picking up the kill.
But in that while, Griffin aren't achieving anything with their numbers advantage. It's a free. Send 2 members bot lane, including the Smite, and there was not even a modicum of threat or aggro or trading of objectives done by Team Griffin in that time.
And all that it means is that Camille, she's going to get further and further ahead. A turret is going to go down. SK Telecom are that much closer to evening the gold score. On the gold score, it benefits Griffin right now if a 5v5 would break out, but it doesn't really matter. This game is gravitating towards that threshold of Griffin is going to lose their advantage of the mid-range type of team composition. Their champions are going to taper off. And eventually, Akali, Camille, they're going to become too scary for Ashe and Silas to handle, and Gangplank's just going to be left wanting.
I don't want to watch this play on screen. I want to watch the minimap. You know your bot laner is going to die eventually. What do you do with that time? The Tonkan's just nowhere in position to look for an Abyssal Voyage play.
But that's what they're trying. That's what it looks like, right? The arrow comes out and they're desperately trying to follow. But that's a team that's playing reactively rather than proactively. And they're also not looking to react in the correct way either, as you were talking about.
And, you know, one way we're talking, and we've had that great talk myself, Grabs and also Young Buck on the LEC broadcast about the LCK teams and where they might trip up and where some of the shortcomings are, and it's something that'll be music to LS's ears. But the big thing that they said that they criticized Korean teams for,
Moralenomicon?
handshake. Too many times
Not enough
in Korea, one team gets a strong side of the map, the enemy team says, all right, we'll come in without vision to fight you for this objective. We don't have to. In that scenario, to get anything representing an even fight, it was going to take a lot of time. And instead, you could just be taking over the Baron vision and forcing SKT to respond to you. Instead, the first thought is, oh, we should back that up way out of position slowly. And by the time that idea was even crystallized in their head, the person was dead and they got nothing. So the first thought is not, how much can we get while the enemy team does this? The first thought is, how can we mitigate a loss?
Take a look at what's going on the screen. Faker and SKT, they say, hey, you want to group up as 5 and take the Cloud Drake? Be our guest. We'll take the top turret. We can get objectives. Faker going to sit back and farm up some more, scale up some more. They don't really care too much about it. I like Griffin trying to make stuff happen, but the Cloud Drake isn't going to be the thing that gets them over the line in the late game.
And it's not really a dragon that is going to play that big of a part, especially at this stage of the game, due to the nature of how Griffin's team composition fights.
Very simply,
they're not using mobility.
Simple question to kind of crystallize this point. Drakes are often fought for, and arguably they're over fought for, but on a simple thing, if that's an Infernal, SKT aren't setting up like that. Seeing the Drake type and understanding that they can get turret plus Baron control for a Cloud Drake, I think SKT is 100% sure as a squad they won out.
Yeah, and they take a look at the next Drake and they're just, you know, rubbing their hands together and nodding their head yes, just like Jack Nicholson, because that's exactly the Drake they wanted. The 25, or I guess eventually 29-minute Ocean Drake is going to do 0 for Griffin's comp.
Is quite literally the best possible role and truly a skillful display of talent by SKT to manage to roll this dragon here in game number 2. It's the worst possible Drake for Griffin. In SKT, they don't need any more advantages.
And you know what would be the worst possible decision? Eyes up, let's watch this play.
Oh, Teddy went into the one-on-one, and they're able to bait Tarzan into this. The arrow going to do nothing, but here comes Toby from the left side. Tarzan able to do a nice amount of damage, but it doesn't matter. Griffin, they lost their AD carry in the entire trade. Tom Kent not able to do anything to save Viper's life.
Well, it does look like SKT, they're going to turn their attention
they just got
to
that
the Baron.
Control.
And remember, they have a Mountain Drake. Tarzan, he's not around, he's running. Abyssal Voyage.
Tarzan trying to get in there, but they're not close enough. The smite's going to come down. And SKT, they just solidified their mid-game, and they're ahead. Teddy's already got QSS. Nothing they can do there. The Mountain Drake able to help them over the line, and now SKT has a full grasp on this game.
Every play SKT makes is measured. They know what the ultimate objective is behind the setup. Meanwhile, Griffin are taking the scraps, but those scraps are in no way compensating for the delicious banquet that SKT is putting together. This would be another consecutive best-of-5 victory. Remember, they sacrificed a Cloud Drake for Baron setup. They use Ezreal's Power Spike to choke out and poke out the Ashe, and from here, the upside is real.
Man.
Well, they don't call him General Teddy for nothing.
Ashe didn't pay her debt to Tom's, though. He went gold and allowed the skill shot to hit. That's what happened right there.
He had a Pepe laugh on the entire time.
Viper didn't know. Oh, man. Well, coming back into the live game, even though SK Telecom don't look like they're trying to utilize the Baron to do anything massive, the damage is already done. They swung the gold advantage in their favor. They took the Baron off the map. They're going to be able to coast now into the free land, where their team composition is going to be stronger in every single way.
Gangplank's already trying to wave through in mid lane. He knows he doesn't want to be addressing the Akali with Baron buff, or, for example, the Camille.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at the top side, we're all pushed in there with the Baron one-on-one, Faker versus Toby. Take a look at the bottom side, it's the exact same situation. The observer's following me on this one. The 1-3-1, so strong, especially with the fed solo lanes of SKT. And the lack of any big objective for Griffin to make their comp work in the mid-game, especially after losing the Baron. It's looking good for SKT here.
Comprehensive destruction so far. Really, really well coached.
All right, trying to make a play here in the mid lane. Effort getting pretty low, but they can't even kill the damn support with everybody trying to get on top of them. And meanwhile, just what we were talking about, those solo lanes, they're pushing in hard.
1-3-1 is there, Toby.
Faker wants to say see you later, but he's under Shroud, and Toby is actually going to outplay him. There you go. Able to shut up the SKT fans on the push as he does win that 1v1.
Only for a second, though. They will lose that inhibitor turret for it, and SKT fans have seen their god fall multiple times in lane. Hasn't mattered too much in the playoffs so far.
Definitely hasn't, as the mid-inhibitor turret was broken wide open. And I love what SKT are doing right now. They're taking the Ocean Dragon at 29.5 minutes. It prevents Elder Dragon, which is Griffin's only out. It's the only possible objective that could come up that would let their team composition go toe-to-toe.
And the amusing thing was, my point earlier before we had a bit of action injected was, the worst thing Griffin could do was not wait till after 30, because they would not want to rush it down, because they want the Elder to spawn as soon as possible. The Elder now spawning later means you have to fight the scaling comp around Baron. You ain't getting the trade you want on the bottom side of the map.
Chovy, we saw there in the outplay of the 1v1, he dodged so much damage. I think he even dashed away from the second part of the perfect execution. He Zonya's the shuriken from the Akali, and even though it started off good for the Akali Faker, you have to make sure you're factoring in everything Silas has into his kit. Speaking of which, everybody's trying to gank the Camille now, as we're all on the bottom side. 4-on-1, this isn't exactly fair. He's trying to get the one kill, but it's not going to happen, and there's no Baron on the opposite side of the map for SKT to take.
And it's a really heavy investment. You bring all the members down into bottom, and you end up killing the Camille, and then you ask yourself, what did it cost you? And, well, the answer may not be everything. It's still a top tier 2 turret and a cannon wave. So it actually ends up being beneficial for SKT.
The one thing you can say is it's far enough away from Baron that you don't lose any real crucial Baron status changes around whether you can contest it or not. So with how far behind they were, it's a possible play. It's just not a play that actually improves your standing in the game.
Yeah, just look at the mini-map while this is happening. 2 control wards are up for the taking. Faker getting a solo wave, which was a cannon wave, in addition to a top tier 2 turret. Trade just not worth it for Griffin.
Well, they weren't going to get a better one, LS.
That's, you know what? You're a glass half full kind of guy, I can tell. It's all right.
The Aussies seem to be on that side of
Something
the
about
map.
these Australians, Valdez. Yeah. To tell them about the American.
The American way, the glass half empty way.
Yeah.
Feels,
or there is no
feels
glass.
Weird, man.
Oh, man.
Well, awkward spot here for Griffin. They make the play, they get the kill, but Khan's about to get his TP up. We do have Baron spawning here in 20 minutes. Griffin making every effort here to just try to get as much vision around this objective, as everybody knows this is the one to watch for the next couple of minutes.
Doran, no interest in laning against Camille any more than he has to. Trying to make some pressure on the top side. See how SKT responds here. Chovy holding on to the Sejuani ult.
Doran's starting it. He's just going for it.
Oh,
The
all in.
is not going to clear out that one. He's going to take out the turret, and Griffin going for the Baron here. Can they get it? It's going to be up to Clid. He's going to get in there, and it goes to the Braum! Effort gets in there and spites it away at level 14. How is he able to do it? This time it's not Clid, but it's still SKT. And the team fight afterwards is done. And we've all seen this video before. It's like a recording. Khan is going to end the game once again on the split push. We're going to a 2-0 lead now to SKT. Griffin go all in, and the cards are up on the table. SKT win again.
And just like Damwon Gaming, in this game, they panic Baron in response to Khan's split push, and it had an extremely similar ending, where Griffin, they were pigeonholed into that spot. They thought they couldn't get a better opportunity. They go for the massive coin flip, and it wasn't really a coin flip though, Papa. It was definitely weighted in SKT's favor.
Honestly, a shot-for-shot remake of an ending we've had multiple times, and like you mentioned, as recently as our most recent series. And the scary thing is that Griffin were like those deers got cornered by the Predator, trying to just do something they knew they were going to be run through if they didn't. And the fact that it keeps happening again is full credit to SKT for forcing teams into epic lose-lose scenarios. It was a Braum without smite. There was no unsealed spellbook in this game. Stole a 200 health Baron, but that's the sort of scenario that SKT are pushing teams into.
The only one that had unsealed was Tom Kent, I believe, and he wasn't the one that stole that away. we'll see if we do get a replay of that one. I mean, it was all hype as SKT were going in for the victory, as after you saw the blue show up on the right side with Brahm's face, you're like, this game is over. And
where's the mental state at?
It's gone.
I think it's gone. We have like a 22. Hold on.
They're going to have to make an LS, a last stand. But with the mental state like this, I don't know what they're going to do.
Leaving soon, more like it. That's right.
These game 3s that come off the back of those game 2s have only gone one way.
Look, just take a look at what's in store for us.
I mean, just
right
look
here.
at the VOD of the last 2 game 3s,
Oh,
and you'd be a betting man to say that Griffin can do better than Sandbox and Damwon, who both capitulated. Really mental destruction, and the mental warfare that SKT have been winning all day usually pays off in a victory lap game 3.
Yeah, I mean, the teams that we knew for somewhat weak mental states were Griffin and maybe, you know, some of the more inconsistent teams. Not necessarily Sandbox and Damwon, but they fell apart like a house of cards. They just collapsed. And now Griffin is kind of showing more of the same. It feels like SKT's reign here in Korea, it doesn't feel like it's over anytime soon. They had a slump, but they could be looking at an 8th win if Griffin somehow cannot pull anything out of the hat for game 3.
Well, what is going to come out of the hat in game number 3? Will we see Sword, or does Griffin have some sort of desperation team composition?
Well,
because I don't think they'll beat them straight up.
It's definitely all desperation time on the side of Griffin. Maybe this is the time you pull out that Sins we were memeing about earlier on, because honestly, straight up games against SKT seem to work for nobody here in the LCK in the playoffs. So we'll have to wait and see what their answer is going to be. I would expect Doran to come back in, but you never really know with some of these teams here, especially with this on the line. But join us, guys, after the break to find out.
상관없긴 한데.
야 파턴 밀어봐 이거 끝내 생각해보자. 끝내 생각해봐.
걸 거야.
아니, 개그물 공격 다.
아 밀어봐 나 텔 있어. 그냥 있어.
칠 거야.
내가 그냥 쓸게. 내가 그냥 쓸게.
쳤어, 잘 가.
말하자마자는 야 리콜 끊고 끝내 생각해.
별로 안 빨라.
천천히 봐. 해봐봐.
끝내. 천천히. 나이스. 끝내봐. 집 끊어. 안 들어가도 돼. 집만 끊어. 집만 끊으면 돼, 이거. 집만 끊으면 돼.
한타 이겨.
이겼다.
한타 이겨.
끝났어.
한타 이겼어.
바텀 텔.
아 그냥 잡아.
텔.
잡아.
텔타고 끝내자, 이거.
얘 높여.
안 잡을래. 텔.
근데 어떻게 뺏었냐 상호야?
나이스. 그냥 형이 스마야?
내 신발 너 누가 들어왔는데?
대박. 나 공으로 먹었으니까, 내가. 다시 집중하자. 집중해.
This is for those who dare to stand up, for those who dare to make a difference. Get ready for battle and join the Republic of Gamers.
이 혹독한 훈련에서 살아남은 의자만이 CDG의 의자가 되니까. 때론 지나친 고집이 정말 좋은 것을 만드니까 의자가 인생을 바꾼다.
CDG